Дорогие друзья, опять же, возвращаясь к тому, что Николай Николаевич был общительный человек, у него очень много друзей, много лет на протяжении 20 лет с лабораторией иммунологии и гемопоэза сотрудничают французские коллеги, и я очень рада представить сегодня здесь нашего постоянного участника конференции и нашего дорогого друга Жана-Франсуа Росси с приветственным словом.
Okay. It's a great pleasure to be virtually, I think, to this meeting, but I would thank Nikolai, and we hope to get sitting in next congresses with him in the future, in the next future. Okay, he tell me when we prepare this, he prepares this congress to speak about the stage for a long way. Yes, I want to summarize just very briefly some better biological knowledge in the domain of cancer, but not only the hallmarks of cancer, but also the tumor microenvironment. And immune therapy is now very important in the context of cancer. Oh. Just rapidly, the hallmarks of cancer are well known. Deregulated cellular energetics, avoiding destruction, tumor promoting inflammation, and genome instability are the different hallmarks of of cancer. But also the immune tumor microenvironment is very important, and Nikolaevich also makes some research in this domain. We know that there are some cells which are eliminating the tumor cells, and some of them, including some molecular factors that escape to the immune surveillance. So we know that in the past, hematopoietic stem cell transplantation was the basis of cellular therapy, and now there is a new era for cellular therapy with many cells in development, CAR T cells, NK cells, etc., etc. Nikolai made the bone marrow he wanted to get it as a cellular niche. We know that because the niche in the bone marrow is for normal, but also malignant cells. There is a competition between both in different hematological malignancies. So by studying that, he went up to measure cancer cells and going down to the minimal residual disease, which is now correlated to the evolution and to the prognostic in different hematological disease. But what is new, it's that the microenvironment in the bone marrow also participates to the education of immune cells. And this was something that Nikolai developed in these research. But at this moment, we were focused on IL-6 and a paper on expression of IL-6 receptor and the functionality of these receptors, GP80 and GP130, in B-cell malignancies. But then after, in Russia, he studied also macrophages, osteoblasts, erythroblasts, and different cells in the bone marrow niche. So this led to the MRD evaluation, and the technique that Nikolai develops was flow cytometry, which is compared now to the different other methodology, including NGS. And going on that way, he participated to the Euroflow panel defining the minimal residual disease, and particularly the panel of monoclonal antibodies to define the minimal residual disease in these different hematological malignancies. So he make also something which is interesting. in BALL and TLL defining the aberrance, the expression of some markers on these cells are aberrant, and by this way we can recognize these cells. It was published recently in different journals and particularly in Russian journals. So the concept of MRD is summarized on this slide with the response in leukemias, including multiple myeloma and some lymphomas too. So the possibility for the future is to base the different therapeutics under MRD monitoring, which is now done. And this scheme explains rapidly that we can choose the different options of therapies by having a monitor, the follow-up, of this residual disease. We can use immune therapy, bispecifics, CAR T cells, allogeneic transplantation in leukemias, but also new possibilities, including anti-metabolic therapy, going to probably the curability, and also another things which could be important for the future, back to normal situation, particularly for the immune system. So Nikolai also made something which was original. He phenotypes in the bone marrow cells, not only the cancer cells in solid tumors, but also lymphocytes, and some lymphocytes are correlated, and some expression of on these lymphocytes are correlated to the prognosis or to the sensitivity to immune therapy. But not only in this domain, it participates with different cancer centers, Blokin and also in St. Petersburg, with immune therapy, particularly with one drug from Russia, which is polyoxidonium. And by phenotyping in breast cancer, triple negative, and using this drug, he obtained, some complete response after immune therapy. And it's published in different journals in Frontiers in Hematology in collaboration with our group. And the last but not the least, it's also the natural immunity, which is interesting because at the surface of cells, normal as malignant cells, there are some glycans, and anti-glycans may participate to the control of the cancer cells. And it demonstrates that in different cancers, particularly in a new article which is submitted in gastric cancer, demonstrating that there is a linkage between prognosis and the expression of these antibodies. Natural immunity, this is a list, but it's not a complete list, but it's a list showing the different antibodies, which are at higher level than some other monoclonal, some other antibodies, particularly after vaccination, for example. So in conclusion, these participate to define the different therapeutic options by analyzing the genetics of the cancer cells, analyzing the immune senescence, immune exhaustion, metabolic change, and for the future also epigenetics, particularly microbiota. And by this, we can define different options to block adaptive immune resistance, to amplify immune response, to bring T cells into tumor, generate T cells, create cytotoxic innate cells, and adapt microbiota, which is ongoing now, and modulate also the metabolism. We have one drug, which is an anti-LDH, which is now in clinical trial for glioblastoma, for example. So still a long road, but this is just for the future to explain linkage between cancer cells and immune microenvironment, to define new therapeutics modality by combining therapies. And I would thank Nikolai Nikolaevich, my friend, to participate to this long road of research. Thank you for the organizer for inviting me, and long life to Nikolai.
Дорогой Жан-Франсуа, огромное вам спасибо за такие теплые приветственные слова. И, конечно, я помню, и, в общем-то, это большая честь для нас, такая совместная работа. Надеюсь, что она будет продолжаться. Дорога впереди еще, в общем-то, открыта для нас. И есть много чего, что мы еще можем сделать вместе. Спасибо вам большое. Надеемся, что на следующей конференции иммунологии и гемопоэза вы приедете уже лично.